Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the 292nd episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today we're going to talk about the volleyball state championship matchups, the Week 11 results, the softball state champions that were declared this past weekend, and we're also going to feature our play of the week. It's a very exciting one that we'll get into in the first segment, and it was Commerce clinching the region title, the first one under the Mark Hollers era. Mark Hollers came from North Cobb Christian, led them to a very successful run, I think one of their first 10-win seasons, and then you look at North Cobb Christian this year, they won their first region title. So he's done a great job at Commerce, and it was an exciting matchup. We'll also talk about our game last week, which was Grayson against Archer, and it was a huge win for Grayson. I give them a lot of credit because they dropped their region opener. It was a tough loss, and they've now positioned themselves basically with a chance to clinch the region this week against Parkview. So why is that a big deal? Because when you lose your first game in the region, things can go one of two ways. You can either bounce back from it, or things can spiral out of control, and that's what we've seen surprisingly with some really good programs. I think the counter example would be Calhoun. Calhoun had a chance to beat Cartersville in their region opener. They were up 17-0. They ended up basically letting it slip through their hands. Cartersville got the win late. Calhoun's able to play really tough against Hiram. Then they lose to Dalton, and then Cass beat them this last week, and they're out of the playoffs for the first time in 23 seasons, 1999, and that was Hal Lamb's first year at the program. So that was an example of a team that wasn't able to respond to a tough loss. Where Grayson, you look at them, they come out in the Corky Kell, obviously a new coaching staff, new coordinators. They fall to Walton. They bounce back, have some huge wins, and then get into the region, have another setback, and now you look at the way they're playing. I think Grayson proved to me against Archer that I don't necessarily, if I'm Walton, want a rematch with them because they have incredible potential. Their defense was lights out, played well in special teams, and then offensively, they've got some serious mismatches, whether it's Kylan Fox, John Cenas, and their quarterback J.D. Davis is playing outstanding. So let's go over what we saw on Friday. The 10th-ranked Grayson Rams pulled away from host Archer early with an efficient and opportunistic performance in all phases of the game, securing the chance to play for the Region 4 title next week at Parkview with a 41-14 victory. The score doesn't necessarily tell the story of the game, cautioned first-year head coach Santavius Bryant. Every year this game is going to be a battle, and that is certainly true. There's a lot of good Gwinnett matchups and rivalries. Obviously, Parkview and Brookwood's a historic one, but I think that Archer-Grayson rivalry is the real deal, and I think it's just going to be really fun every single season. It was a great atmosphere, and before I talk about the game, Archer impressed me a lot. Their defensive line played outstanding. They had a ton of pressure. They matched Grayson physically. I thought Grayson's secondary tackled very well. It was just the mistakes and miscues that ended up hurting Archer, and then Grayson was able to pull away. So 41-14, that's a pretty sizable margin, but I think Coach Bryant's right. Grayson still has not hit their full stride, so we'll see if they do it this week against Parkview. But also just a credit to Archer. I think I was very surprised with how well they handled the game in terms of the physicality. All right, so despite accumulating 8 first downs in the opening half to Grayson's 3, Archer found themselves in a 28-7 hole at the break, thanks largely to a trio of turnovers and Grayson consistently capitalizing on friendly field position. Senior tight end and UCF commit Kylan Fox hauled in a pair of first-half touchdowns, including a 63-yarder. And that is what makes him so dangerous. It kind of reminds me of Jelani Thurman for Hughes last year, a big tight end that physically can be a mismatch but also has the speed to break away big-time touchdowns. He's going to be a problem for sure. And the more they get him the ball, the more that offense is going to open up. Grayson also came out with a lot of tempo offensively, and it didn't necessarily work in their favor at first. They had I think on their opening drive, a 3rd down and 1, and they rushed up to get the playoff, and Archer came away with a tackle for loss. So really the time of possession went completely in Archer's favor early in the game, but then once they got settled in, they lit it up and then relied on the defense. But let's see right here, including a 63-yarder, and Dylan Elder also finished with 2 touchdown runs, 82 yards and a 10-yarder. The 82-yard touchdown was very impressive. Grayson had a couple plays where they were forcing the Archer defense to defend them sideline to sideline. The running backs were getting to the outside. They were throwing screen passes and really stretching out that solid Archer defense, but they were able to use that speed and then race down the sideline, and his 82-yard touchdown was just that. The latter of which was set up by a fumble recovery on a ball punched out of Archer's arms by Tyler Atkinson, sophomore linebacker. He has been playing outstanding. He switched. Is he playing middle linebacker now? Yeah. So he was an outside linebacker last year. He keeps growing in size. He actually was originally supposed to go to Archer. The schools are right next to each other. And I was talking to an Archer coach on the sideline that said he used to play youth basketball against him. And then when he saw him last season, several years later, he said he didn't even recognize him. That's just how big he's gotten and how fast he's matured. So Tyler Atkinson is just an exceptional player. And obviously, as a sophomore, he's only going to get better and really start to grow that reputation. He's a top 20 prospect nationally in every single outlet and only going up from there.
Humble kid, too.
Yeah, humble kid. And then if you see him, just the way he works in the offseason, he is on like a professional football level training regimen. Just the way he handles his nutrition, his conditioning, and just every possible drill to improve his game. He's the total package. Additionally, John Sinius found the end zone following Jalen Bell's first quarter interception, and Elijah Miller provided the final points of the game in the fourth quarter. The Rams improved to 7-2 with the win and will be seeking their 12th region title in 16 years next week against the Parkview Panthers, who are all. So Coach Brian afterwards, he goes, "That's something we've been season." He's talking about the region title. "It's one of our main goals, winning the region, so it gives us a chance to come out here and control our own destiny." So that was how that game went. And Parkview will be an interesting matchup. They were in a bad. We saw him have a great game against. Was that against Newton? Yeah, where he had the 3 touchdown passes and an efficient day passing. Against Brookwood, the numbers were not as good in terms of the passing. I think he was about 40% completions, but he rushed for 3 touchdowns. So he's getting it done. He's making the plays they need to, and he is showing something that I haven't seen with him, which is the running ability. He did not have to run at all last season when he was with St. Francis, but he came up and took advantage of that against Brookwood. All right, so some other results in 7A. Marietta, big win over Harrison. Just their 3rd win of the season. Same sort of deal as last year, though. But Harrison, that's a solid team that, as you remember, was 6-0 a few weeks ago. And now they are 1-3 in region play and are battling with, I believe, Hillgrove for that final spot. Mill Creek, a 41-0 win over Decula. That's going to set them up for the region title, having previously beat Buford, obviously. In that game, Brady Lane had 2 really long field goals. Cam Robinson had another big game, 19 carries, over 100 yards, and then a good day passing by Shane Throgmartin. Wheeler held off Kennesaw Mountain. They'll return to the playoffs once again. That was a 36-29 victory. They're 3-1 in the region, and now Wheeler is going to play Walton this week for the region title. Parkview, we mentioned that game, 43-24 victory over Brookwood. Let me just pull up, go over some more 7A action. All right, Colquitt County also clinched the region title with a 44-28 win over Valdosta. Richmond Hill had a big win over Lowndes, 37-14, and so that sets up a very interesting scenario this next week. You have Camden County and Richmond Hill both at 1-2, and then you have Lowndes at 0-3. So Colquitt's already the 1 seed, Valdosta's already the 2 seed. Valdosta's already played its complete schedule. So then Colquitt is going to play Richmond Hill. They'll obviously be favored in that one. So let's just say Colquitt beats Richmond Hill. That's going to put Richmond Hill at 1-3. And now you have Camden at 1-2 and Lowndes at 0-3. So if Camden beats Lowndes, they'll probably be the 3 seed. Richmond Hill will be the 4. But if Lowndes loses to Camden County, they're going to be out of the playoffs for the first time, I think, in probably a decade, and that would be tough. So Lowndes is playing for its season this next week against Camden County. And then if Richmond Hill were to beat Colquitt County and then Lowndes beats Camden, it forces a 3-way tie. So still some scenarios to watch, but Lowndes obviously must win this week to avoid that. All right, in Region 2, Carrollton, 63-7 win over Campbell. Their offense is lighting it up, and if they didn't fall on the last second to Hughes in their season opener, a game they very easily could have won, we would be talking just solely about them. I think they'd probably be ranked number 1, but that put them behind in the poll early on, and so now they've steadily been climbing. But obviously they went perfect in the regular season last year. This year they once again swept the region. You have Westlake securing the number 2 seed with a 28-7 win over East Coweta, And now this week you're going to have Campbell against Westlake and East Coweta against Pebblebrook. If Pebblebrook's able to win, that would force a 3-way tie. If East Coweta wins, they'll get the number 3 seed. All right. In Region 3, the games this week, you're going to have Marietta against North Paulding. The winner is going to get the 2. The loser will get the 3. And then Harrison will play – Harrison's off. You're going to have Hillgrove playing McEachern. So if McEachern beats Hillgrove, Harrison will be in the playoffs. All right, so Region 4, we talked about Grayson putting itself in the driver's seat. They're 3-1. Parkview's 3-1. You got Archer also at 3-1. They're going to play Newton. And then trying to see if South Gwinnett can still possibly get in. They can, because South Gwinnett beat Newton last week. They're 1 game back at 1-3. So if South Gwinnett beats Brookwood and Archer beats Newton, you're going to see South Gwinnett sneak into the playoffs and Newton miss out. So certainly that's a scenario that could happen. South Gwinnett's definitely good enough to beat Brookwood, and then Archer, I think they can bounce back from that game last week. I think with Parkview and Grayson, the storyline I would watch for late in the game, Dylan Elder was carrying the football. That's Grayson's running back. He got tackled from behind and fell on his wrist pretty hard. I thought the Archer-Grayson game was probably the most physical game we've seen all season long. Both of those secondaries can lay hits. There was some really great tackling, but he had ice on his wrist. I don't think it was broken, but it certainly was a bad fall. So we'll see if that's going to impact him. Certainly that could if he's dealing with a pretty serious wrist injury, it's going to be hard to contribute in the passing game, but we will see. I do expect him to play. In Region 5, Walton and Wheeler, I mentioned that's for the region title. North Cobb is going to play Osborne. They're also 3-1, and then Osborne is guaranteed to make the playoffs as the number 4 seed unless they can beat North Cobb, and then that would potentially force a 3-way tie with Wheeler and North Cobb. In Region 6, Milton is going to play Lambert, also for the region title. If Milton beats Lambert, West Forsyth can get the number 2 seed with a win over South Forsyth. In Region 7, where we will be this week, you're going to have Norcross against North Gwinnett. Norcross is leading the region with a 5-0 record. They served Peachtree Ridge their first loss of the season. Peachtree Ridge beat North Gwinnett, and so if Norcross beats North Gwinnett, Peachtree Ridge will get the number 2 seed. In that Norcross game, I got to give them a lot of credit. They were down, I think, 10-0 in that game, and then stormed back with a 35-7 scoring run. And the stat that really stands out that will be the big storyline for me this week is Norcross did not punt one time in that game. Great offense, great play calling, and then the versatility with A.J. Watkins is truly next level. We've seen teams that have multiple quarterbacks rotating, but this is different because when he's not playing quarterback, he's lining up at running back, he's out wide playing receiver, and he's had multiple games this season. This isn't a one-off where he's passing for touchdowns, rushing, and receiving them. So that's the big storyline. A.J. Watkins has been effective for Norcross every single game this season, and they have a tremendous offense with a lot of different things they can do. North Gwinnett, they also have an opportunity to challenge that Norcross defense, and they put up 62 points this last week against Discovery, and they are 6-3 on the season, so should be another great Gwinnett battle. All right, behind Mill Creek and Buford in Region 8. The big game this week, you're going to have Mill Creek against Mountain View. Mountain View's tied with Collins Hill at 2-2 for the 3rd and 4th spot, and then Collins Hill is going to play Decula, and you'll have Buford against Central Gwinnett. Central Gwinnett had a tough loss last week to Collins Hill, 35-0. So let's say Collins Hill beats Decula, and then Mill Creek beats Mountain View. That would put Collins Hill at the number 3. And then since Mill Creek beat Central Gwinnett, they would get the number 4. All right, so I set the stage right there, but let's go to our play of the week real quick. And before we get into it, I mentioned Mark Hollers, Commerce's head coach. He was on the show on Friday talking about the opportunity. They have a small region. It's only 4 teams, so every game has just been massive. They beat Elbert County, and Elbert County actually, I'm trying to think, sorry, that was Stevens County that beat Rabun. So Elbert County early on in the season was the highest ranked out of that region. Commerce gets a huge win over them, just ran all over them to set up a region championship game with Rabun County. Rabun County, heading into this, had won 10 straight region championships. So they clearly were the team that, if you want to get over the hump, that's who you got to beat. And it was just an absolutely wild game. So here's Potluck Football, who does a great job covering Commerce every single week. But here's what he said about the game. Final thoughts on a full moon senior night. Your 4th-ranked Commerce Tigers defend Ray Lamb Stadium and defeat the number 6th-ranked Rabun County Wildcats 23-17 in overtime to win the Region 8 championship. Here's what we saw. Commerce claws, fights, and scraps to victory. When we needed 3 yards, Wiggins would get 4. When we needed a pass breakup on a deep ball, Lyle would knock it down. When we needed a sack, Williams would get 1. And when we needed to force a fumble, the Tigers came through. Another thing that made their win so dramatic, their kicker, senior Ivy Tolbert, she is one of the top soccer prospects. She's committed to Cornell. She's been Commerce's kicker the last 3 seasons. She's probably one of the only girl kickers in the country that has over 100 career points. She's been their longtime kicker, doing a great job. Well, at the very end of regulation, at the end of regulation, Ivy Tolbert went out there to potentially kick the game-winning field goal, and Rabun County blocked it, and then on the play, I'm pretty sure she suffered a broken leg. She had to leave in an ambulance. So that was a tough loss for them. So that happens at the end of the game. Well, now they're in overtime. They have the touchdown lead. Rabun County's trying to tie it back up, and this is just one of the most clutch defensive plays I've seen, where they have the pass completion. Coach Holler said, what makes Rabun County's offense so good? They make you defend sideline to sideline. We saw it with Gunnar Stockton. We see with guys like Jaden Gibson, their receiver last year that broke the all-time state career receiving record. They're great offensively, and so it was so clutch to square up, get this tackle, and then you'll see the ball once it's popped out. Rabun County almost has a chance to pick it up and turn it into a touchdown, but then that Commerce defense is there, and that's what Coach Holler said. He said in their weight room, they have a giant photo up that shows 11 players around the football making the play, and I think it just paid off. It's a huge victory for them, and you'll just see how exciting it was. It is Commerce's 650th all-time victory, and it does not get better than this. So without further ado, let's go to my play of the week. So making that play was junior Jakari Huff. Saw some other highlights from that game, had some big pass breakups, and that tackle right there was just perfect. When the receiver is catching it and making that initial move, there's a small window where you can get in there before he sees you coming, and he put his hat right on the football. They're able to get it. Just a clutch play all around, and you saw how exciting that was. Senior night, playing for the region title, just a really exciting last few weeks for the program, beating Elbert County on the road, returning home, getting the big victory. And a lot of people that have been going to Commerce games for years said that was the loudest environment that they've ever experienced there. So just an incredible play. And Class A Division I is going to be exciting once again this season, and we'll see how far all those teams go. I think Rabun County, Commerce, and Elbert all have a chance to make noise in the playoffs. But we'll go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be back on the other side.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
All right, welcome back. So let's go to 6A real quick. There were 5 teams that clinched region titles this past week. You got Thomas County Central, their win over Lee County. Woodward Academy did it with their win over Mundy's Mill. Douglas County, Rome, and Gainesville. So 5 of the 8. Thomas County Central's 31-24 win over Lee County improved them to 9-0. They're going to play Northside Warner Robins next. Lee County's got Tift, and then Houston County's got Veterans. The only way that's going to shake up if Northside Warner Robins beats Thomas County Central, that Thomas County Central would still have the number 1 seed, but it could force a tie for the other spots. All right, in Region 2, big game coming up this week with Effingham County and Brunswick for the region title. Glen Academy beat Brunswick this year. That was a huge win for them, and so they're going to be polling for, I guess, Effingham County to guarantee that number 2 seed. But if Brunswick wins, that would also force a tie because Effingham County did beat Glen. And so the reason I said they'd be cheering for Brunswick, sometimes that 3-way tie whether it's a coin flip or based off total points, that could send you down to the number 3 seed, but they're in good position nonetheless. In Region 3, a big game this week for Jonesboro and Lovejoy for that number 3 seed. And then in Region 4, Marist is going to play Riverwood this week. I think they already clinched as well. They just haven't updated this yet. But they're 4-0, and you got Dunwoody and North Atlanta both at 3-1, and they're going to square off this Friday for the number 2 seed. So Marist has clinched. They just haven't gotten their little banner yet. All right, behind Douglas County, Hughes is going to be the number 2 seed, and then East Paulding is going to be the number 3 seed, despite what happens. And then South Paulding has the number 4. So all that in Region 5 is set. Behind Rome in Region 6, Sequoia is going to be the number 2 seed, and then Creekview is the number 3, and then River Ridge is going to play Allatoona for the number 4 seed. So all but one is secured right there. And then a huge win this past week for Blessed Trinity over Alpharetta. They're both 4-1 in the region now. Alpharetta is going to play Roswell, and then Blessed Trinity is going to play Lassiter. So let's say if Alpharetta beats Roswell, that can force a 3-way tie, but if Roswell beats Alpharetta, BT is going to get that home field in the first round. Their only loss in region play was to Roswell. And then in Region 8, Lanier got the number 2 seed behind Gainesville, and then North Forsyth is the number 3, and the number 4 will either be Habersham or Jackson County, depending on what happens. Jackson County is going to play Gainesville, though, so they're going to need a win over the Red Elephants to stay in the playoff picture. All right, let's go over to volleyball real quick. All right, so in 7A, it's going to be an outstanding rematch for the finals between Walton and North Cobb. Those two teams have split their meetings this season, with North Cobb taking the first one and then Walton taking the second one in the region championship. And it's a very even matchup in terms of the star power. So a Walton senior, Sophia Henry, she had a season high 22 kills in Walton's 3-2 win over North Cobb. In that match, North Cobb had a 2-0 lead. Walton won the final 3 sets to come away with the victory. In the playoffs so far, she has 64 kills in the last 4 rounds. On North Cobb, they've got Nicole Antova, also a senior. She had 19 kills in the last matchup against the Raiders, and she has 61 kills in the playoffs. Both teams have only dropped 1 set in the postseason, so I think it's a very even matchup. North Cobb's trying to win just their second volleyball state title. It would be their and first since I think 2014, so it's been a decade. And then Walton is trying to win its 16th all-time championship. So should be a great matchup. All right, in 6A, you're also going to have a rematch. It's going to be Alpharetta and Pope. Alpharetta had a 32 match win streak going into the region championships. Pope got the win, and now they're going to meet again. So they've split in the regular season just like 7A, and that should be another exciting one. So I know Pope has won, Pope's won 5. Alpharetta's last one came in 2020. back when they were in Class 7A. So they're in 6A now, and that's, I mean, just on paper and everything about that matchup is going to be spectacular. All right, in Class 5A, GAC avenged its loss from earlier in the season to Dalton with a big victory, 3-1 on Saturday. And then on the other side, number 1 ranked McIntosh held off Kell in 5 sets. A really tough battle. It was Kell's best season. They fought to the end, but McIntosh came away with the victory. And what's so exciting about these volleyball matches, I mean, it's fast. It's not like a 3-hour-long football game. I mean, the whole season's on the line. You're in the 5th set, first 1 to 15 wins, and so it's just very intense. So I know that was an emotional win for McIntosh, a hard-fought victory, and a tough one for Kell. They wanted that rematch against GAC in the region title. Another situation where they split in the regular season. If Kell would have won that match, they would have been on the other side of the bracket. I already said Kell had the hardest playoff run, having to play Calhoun, Midtown, then McIntosh. So that was a tough loss, but it's going to be McIntosh against GAC. I think it should be a great one. All right, in Class 4A, we are going to have Pace Academy and Lovett. Lovett defeated Westminster to advance, and then Pace Academy held off Central Carroll, who was trying to make history. All right, in Class 3A, hold up one sec. All right, in Class 3A, you're going to have number 1 Sandy Creek against number 2 Oconee County. Sandy Creek beat Hebron 3-0. Oconee County beat Hart County 3-1. Also, Oconee County's beaten Morgan County, Wesleyan, and Douglas to advance, and then Sandy Creek, they had Monroe area, Gordon Lee, and Crisp County before beating Hebron Christian. To me, both those teams have been just the clear-cut number 1 and number 2, and we'll see. Let's see when the last time Oconee County won. So Sandy Creek has 3 all-time. Their last one was in 2012, and then Oconee County has never won. So that's one of the few teams in the finals that will be looking for its first ever. In Class 2A, it's going to be Landmark Christian against Mount Perrin. That is another number 1 versus number 2 matchup. And then Class A, which I'm going to talk about in a sec, is going to be Whitfield Academy against Mount Pisgah. So Whitfield Academy beat Mount Vernon 3-1, and then Mount Pisgah defeated Mount Bethel 3-0. All the teams in the semis were from the same region, and now Whitfield will face a Mount Pisgah team that they've had success with against during the season. Mount Pisgah is the number 1 seed out of Region 6. Whitfield is the number 2 seed. So this is Whitfield's first ever trip to the finals, and we'll talk about it right here. So they earned their first ever trip with a 3-1 victory over rival Mount Vernon on Saturday at Marietta High School. Whitfield won the first set 25-21, lost the second one 25-22 before winning the next 2 25-11 and 25-21. So a great response from them after dropping the second set. It's a milestone for the Whitfield program that this is crazy. They had not advanced past the first round of the state tournament before this year. They had never won a playoff game. The Wolfpack defeated Christian Heritage 3-0 in the first round, Oglethorpe County 3-1 in the second round, and Lamar County 3-0 in the quarterfinals. It's incredible, Whitfield coach Courtney Ledford said. We never made it past the first round of the playoffs before, so we made history when we won that round. Then we got to host at home. We set out with a goal to be where we are. This is an incredible group of girls with a lot of talent. They wanted this and worked hard for it. I'm so thrilled to be representing our school. For these girls, they get to represent Whitfield Academy and be part of this for the first time in program history. The win also completed a sweep of the region-wide rival for the Wolfpack, who defeated Mount Vernon 3-0 in the area semifinals and 2-1 in the regular season. Elizabeth Sella and Caden Bentley each had 13 kills and a pair of aces, while Joelle Walker had 4 aces to lead the way for Whitfield. The first set was a close-fought battle with Whitfield and Mount Vernon trading the lead back and forth until the Wolfpack broke a 5-5 tie and held a slight edge the rest of the way. They jumped out to a 5-2 lead in the second set, with Sella and Walker each having 2 kills, but Mount Vernon stayed close and eventually tied it up 1-1. The third set was all Whitfield as it took advantage of a number of errors to jump out to an 11-3 lead. They won that set 25-11. And then they stormed out to another strong start in the fourth as Bentley had a kill and 2 aces to help them get out to a 7-2 lead. Mount Vernon closed it to 10-7, but Whitfield pulled away with a 7-1 run, with Walker, Sella, and Bentley each contributing a kill and expanding its lead to 17-8. The Mustangs scored 6 unanswered to cut it to 17-14. Certainly made it interesting, but the Wolfpack held on. We had beaten Mount Vernon in the regular season and in the area tournament, but we knew they were going to come in today wanting it just as much as we did, Coach Ledford said. Honestly, we were looking for a fight. We knew it was going to be back and back, and we were okay with that. We were ready for it. So, very exciting matchups. We'll have previews posted at scoreatl.com and coverage this weekend of the results. It should be a lot of fun. All right, so let's go to softball real quick. That wrapped up this week in Columbus. The big headline in 7A, Buford wins their 12th state title in fast pitch softball. They are the Walton Volleyball of girls softball. Definitely a dynasty program. All right, so 3 teams defended last year's title at the GHSA State Championships this weekend in Columbus. Defending champions Buford, Northside Columbus, and Wesleyan defended, while Noonan in 6A, Prince Avenue in Class A Division I, and Lanier County in Class A Division II all won first ever state titles. In the Class 7A tournament, Buford defeated East Coweta 9-1 in the championship series to capture the program's 12th championship. The Wolves finished the season a perfect 32-0, but had to survive a 3-2 game against East Coweta in the finals of the winners bracket. East Coweta defeated Brookwood 9-1 to earn the rematch. And so let's look at the national rankings right now, because I bet you Buford is way up there, if not number 1. Yep, and we've seen East Coweta actually close out a couple seasons as the number 1 team in the nation. But right now it is Buford at 32-0 over Blue Springs South. You also have Gretna from Nebraska, and then 2 other Georgia teams in that top 5 with East Coweta and Pope. So Buford is the number 1 team in the nation, a 12th state title, and a big victory. All right, so first-time champion Noonan's path to the 6A championship went through River Ridge in the winners bracket, and then defending champion Pope in the championship. They won 1-0. Incredible victory over the defending champs. In Class 5A, Northside Columbus won the program's 3rd title. They've also won in 2017, and then last season they beat Harris County 3-2 in the finals of the winners bracket, and then Northgate 7-1 in the championship. In Class 4A, Heritage Catoosa 10-2 win over Wayne County in the championship marked their 4th title after winning 3 straight from 2018 to 2020. And then Heritage Catoosa beat North Oconee 4-2 in the finals of the winners bracket to reach the championship before topping Wayne. All right, Wesleyan picked up their 3rd straight. Wesleyan is a 3-time defending state champion, but the Wolves took the long way to the title after losing to Hebron 2-0 in the winner bracket finals. Wesleyan defeated 11-time champion Gordon Lee to earn the championship berth. It was the first game of the series. Wesleyan outlasted Hebron 1-0 to force the decisive if game, which it won 8-5. Appling County won its first championship in 2021 and upended defending champion Jeff Davis 4-3 in the championship series to win its 2nd state title. Appling began the day defeating Banks County 2-0 in the winners bracket, earning a championship berth. Got 2 more to go. Prince Avenue lost to defending champion Heard County 6-5 in the 2nd round of the winners bracket, and then won 5 straight to earn its first ever state title. The Wolverines beat Temple 11-0, Bacon County 5-1, Heard County 3-1 to earn the championship series. In Game 1, Prince Avenue defeated Mount Vernon 5-4 and then outlasted the Mustangs 6-5 in the championship clinching game. All right, Lanier County defeated Glasscock County 6-2 to capture the program's first ever championship after moving undefeated through the winners bracket. The Bulldogs begin the day beating Washington Wilkes 7-0 in the winners bracket. So we got the write-ups right there. You can look at photos, more coverage of that. But congratulations to all those teams and the ones that won their first ever titles. That's very exciting, and definitely Buford for a perfect season. All right, so a couple more things before we close out the show. Let's look at if there were any changes in the rankings. Obviously, our rankings will be posted shortly, probably in the next 30 minutes, but I thought this was intriguing. Newton dropped from number 7 to number 10. So despite, obviously, Newton was flying really high, but these are back-to-back tough losses. They lost to South Gwinnett on a field goal. They lost to Archer, and they're still in the poll, though. No Milton, no Peachtree Ridge. I mean, there's a lot of some other teams, but we'll see how Newton plays this next week. They've got a big matchup against Archer, but they do remain in the poll. In 6A, let's see, no changes this week. Lee County did fall 1 spot after its loss to Thomas County Central, just a 1-score defeat. And they did outgain Thomas County Central in that game, 373 to 293. So I said, as good as Thomas County Central has been, it's all about the complementary football. They aren't even in the top 50 in terms of its yardage, but the defense is so good, and they're just solid on both sides, so they don't need to necessarily get all the yards offensively. Coffee remains number 1 in 5A this week, 56-7 win over Greenbrier, and then they're going to play at Ware County, so that should be an interesting 5A matchup. Certainly one of the better ones. You got Jefferson holding it down at number 3. They're going to play Eastside this week, and then Calhoun exited the poll after its loss to Cass. A very tough loss for that program. In Class 4A, Burke County fell out of the poll after its loss to New Hampstead, and Stars Mill got in. They're going to play Whitewater this week. And then Troop had a big victory, 28-14 over Trinity Christian, and they moved up in the poll to number 9. They're going to play LaGrange this week, a huge 4A matchup for the region title. Obviously, Stars Mill is still in it too, but the winner can clinch. All right, in Class 3A, let's see. Don't see any movement outside of Crisp County entering at number 10 with its 61-22 win over Thomasville. Thomasville was number 10, and so they obviously exited after that. Then in Class 2A, okay, interesting. Let's talk about this real quick, and I'll look into this a little more before Wednesday. But Cook is back in the poll. They had to vacate all their victories previously, and now it looks like they're 7-2. There's some lawsuit filed in that, but let's just see what they say. They beat Fitzgerald 14-7, huge win. And it says Cook clinched Region 1 pending the outcome of an injunction preventing the GHSA from forcing Cook to forfeit 5 games over an ineligible player. I'll get to it, but I've really got to look into it because it's crazy what's happening. They vacated all the wins, and then basically Cook County filed like a restraining order against the GHSA that said they don't have the ability to force them to forfeit games. I've never seen anything like that happen. In my mind, you play in the GHSA, so I'm pretty sure they do have the ability, but there's a lawsuit involved. And then it was something like, well, we're going to sue you, and if it's not resolved by this date, then it's not going to count. So that's interesting that they're in the poll. I don't do the two-way rankings, so I'll have to see what Seth does with that. But I'll look into that before Wednesday's show for sure. It's an intriguing topic. Then Class A Division 1, we saw Swainsboro drop to number 6 from number 2 after its 1-point loss to Buckley County, 21-20. And then Brooks County entered the poll at number 10 for the first time. And then in Class A Division 2, Dooley County replaced Early County. But that's it. We'll be back tomorrow for Underrated and Overlooked. Try to get some good guests for Wednesday's show, and then go to scoreatl.com for more coverage and our rankings. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you then.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.